There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy, lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up? Are you ready to make more money in 1 year than your father made in his whole life? Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
But hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing is important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Fine. Then let's race.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Well, round 2 of the 2020 Custom Racewear F3 iRacing Championship. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, and joining me as our lead commentator once again is Danforth UK's very own Mr. Jake Sanson. Good evening.
Good evening, Alex. I'm really excited about tonight. Silverstone is the home of British motor racing, and it's definitely going to be an exciting venue for tonight's
we have
battle.
Quite a lot happening at the moment. Obviously, the Custom Racewear iRacing F3 Championship is brought to you in association with Simutec Technologies. Also, a big thank you to also Go Bobby to help us here at Downforce Racing to present this. We are at the home of British motor racing, Silverstone, at the 2008 variation of this. And I sense a little chuckle in the commentary box. Good evening, Jake.
Indeed. What a fantastic venue. And it is a bit of old school Silverstone tonight as well from the 2008 season. It really is a wonderful venue, this. It doesn't look quite as much as it does now. There is no Silverstone wing complex, of course, tonight. It is old school, and a lot of the youngsters on the grid were probably not even around the last time that this particular configuration was used. Some of them might have been born, but probably don't have much of a memory of what it used to be like. But you and I, as old hands in the game, we know this circuit of old. A fantastic race action coming our way this evening, and of course a very busy format. We have a 30-minute practice session which is underway currently at the moment, and then of course qualifying, which is 10 minutes, enough essentially for 2 flying laps around the circuit. Then our sprint race of 15 minutes, a warm-up, and then the feature race coming up after that. It's going to be a really exciting night at the office, Alex.
Definitely. Coming into this round, Sandy Mitchell is currently leading the way on 26 points. Thomas King and Callum Bradshaw ran out the top 3, all separated by just a mere 2 points. And then it's a further 2 back to Philip Russell, with Teddy Wilson, Colin Sanzeri, Yves Baltas, Matthew Gauthier Thornton, Matt Caruana and Connor Mills rounding out the top 10. They are separated by 13 points. So I think very shortly we'll have to go to what's happening at the moment, because I think free practice is currently underway, if I'm very much mistaken, Jake.
Certainly is. It's going to be very exciting when the battle goes very much between the drivers, and it's very close at the moment. Sandy Mitchell currently at the top of the table from Callum Bradshaw and Teddy Wilson. Piers Pryor up in 4th position, wanting to shake off the difficulties of Imola. And he is putting on a bit of a show out there already as he tries to get his way up the inside of Colin Sanzeri on the road. So those two battling away. Piers Pryor once again, as usual, thinking pink, as he tends to do. So it's going to be a fascinating battle for him. And he feels he's got quite a lot to prove tonight. He had a frustration at Imola, but he's definitely wanting to put on a bit of a show at the moment. Callum Bradshaw just 0.072 off the back of Sandy Mitchell's time. And Piers Pryor is already within 0.7 of a second as he runs wide out of Woodcote. And this is going to be a very interesting battle for them as he comes across the line to try and get a faster lap time in. What can he do? Still 4th position and has not really made much of a gain there. A 1 minute 40.990, still with time to make up then.
Yes, very much the case. I've just been keeping an eye on the times. The top 7, which is from Sandy Mitchell to Connor Mills, they're separated by just about 1.1 seconds around the nearly 3.2 mile long circuit here on this variation. So in many respects, we are going to see quite a lot of fast and furious action. No, Dominic Toretto has not been invited to the party because he'd rather be in a supercar than in a single-seater. So in many respects, we will find out what's happened. But in the meantime, Callum Bradshaw and also Sandy Mitchell are trading positions. Pretty much, well, they've actually just both pitted. Mitchell's put in a 1 minute 39.64. Callum Bradshaw, pretty much even Stevens with the Scottish driver.
Well, we've just been watching Thomas King, Alex. He's just gone 3rd fastest, just a whisker quicker than Teddy Wilson and Piers Pryor. So good to see Thomas King make his way forward. We've got Wilson in P4, Pryor in 5th position, then Baltas, Preston, Connor Mills, Philip Russell, and then Matt Caruana currently in 10th position. A really exciting gaggle of drivers as they continue to battle their way. Sammy Venables has just completed another lap and gone up into 12th position. So Venables making good progress, and he is currently... He's just done himself a decent time there, 2 seconds off the pace. Piers Pryor has just popped up with a 1 minute 40.2, so he's getting faster all the time. But Connor Mills goes faster still. 5th position for him on a 1 minute 40.161. So the times are definitely tumbling as drivers are starting to get more into their stride. But there's still only 11 thousandths of a second between Sandy Mitchell and Callum Bradshaw. Those two have been battling since the first race of the season.
They're pretty much with each other on the track at the moment, Jake, in terms of how many laps they've completed. They're about to complete, I think, 4 laps in total. Thomas King overtakes Teddy Wilson once again for P3. The pair, 10th and a half between them. Connor Mills, Piers Pryor, currently sitting in the pits as we're getting towards the latter stages of this 20-minute free practice session here at... You know what's really funny? I was actually at this circuit the year after, in 2009, when we had that lovely Brawn GP, BGP 001, run by Jones and Button, and someone who is a birthday boy today. So many happy returns. 48 today, Rubens Barrichello. Oh, there's been a big off at some point on the circuit. Someone's gone really hard into the wall, and the front and rear ends of that Dallara F3 asunder. I'm wondering who that was.
Yeah, couldn't quite.
That might have been Harry Smithson. Yeah, Harry Smithson, I think, in the 41, has lost both front and rear end of that Dallara. That's going to be a repair job, but at least in a sim racing world, it can be done pretty quickly and with no cost at all, Jack.
Well, that's the thing as well. Yeah, you don't want to be in too many dire straits over the course of a race, and That's the difficulty you pose if you have problems of that kind. But there is Ben White, I should say. Ben White running well in 14th at the moment as he's trying to make his way forward. One of the few drivers that's actually put a personal ID photo on his profile. So good to see that he's keeping himself up to date with things and running a perfectly good race as things currently stand. But he's obviously got some interesting racing ahead of him. Callum Bradshaw still trying to get that elusive pole position as he tries to move his way further forward. There is Callum Bradshaw's car. Trading Pates has suddenly kicked in, so now we actually get to see these cars in the glorious liveries they deserve to be. Great to have Simutec Technologies watching along. Awesome suits starting to roll off the line, Ben. Great work, chap. Indeed, Custom Racewear are back in business due through COVID-19 lockdown, which is great to see. But they are back in the action again. And our regular Downforce Racing superfan Emma Featherstone reminiscing as a British Marshal. She loved this version of Silverstone. And it is great to see it back in operation again. It's hard to think that last year when I worked the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, the section they've gone through now was basically a festival. That section of the course up a bridge was just awash with spectators and fans, and there was even a rock concert going on. But it is a fabulous part of the course and one that lives long in the memory of many of those. Now, Matthew Gaultier Thornton has just popped up into P5, having come through on a good lap there. So a good run from Matthew as he has moved his way further forward, and that's definitely well timed. He needed to make a bit of an impression and is now just under, and I really do mean just under, half a second, 0.499, as Tenny Wilson pops up with a 1:45.863. So the top four drivers, I should say, are covered by less than 3/10.
Yeah, getting very interesting at the top as well. I think it's still been pretty much even Stevens. It's gotten even closer between between Mitchell and Bradshaw and King rounding out the top three. But just looking down the order, Jake, I mean, all the way to Achille Corbett down in 19th position, the French driver based just outside of Lyon. He's running in P19. Austin Foster from my neck of the woods here in, he's on the other side of it. He's currently running P21 as he's just been deposed out of P20 by Mike Hurd. So there's still a little bit of this session left, Jake. Even though we're into the last quarter, there's still going to be a bit of time for people to actually improve and just get themselves steeled and ready for qualify very shortly.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, this is still practice. A lot of the drivers will have been busy with various other bits and pieces over the course of the last few days. So this is their last chance, essentially, to work their magic, ready for the closing stages of setup. And these drivers are obviously very disciplined. They want to make sure that they have got everything ready for this last race. But practice is where a lot of the homework is done. There's Callum Bradshaw running a good race pace at the moment. Second position in the timesheets. Still only 11 thousandths of a second off the pace of Sandy Mitchell. What you guys won't have seen very clearly last time out a week ago is that there were issues with the iRacing's server, and there was a nice little battle for the two men that were left in the stream, Sandy Mitchell and Callum Bradshaw, and they were so busy racing each other that they didn't want to get out of the room. They still had an opportunity to join everybody else, and they were still racing, and it was like, come on guys, you need to get back into it, as Tenny Wilson has just gone fastest. So Tenny Wilson has eclipsed them both on a 1:39.6. That's squeezing so much time out of this little Dallara. But these are wonderful race cars, and they really do. For me, they are the ultimate pure F3 car. I know there is an FIA Formula 3 car these days, but for me, this is what an F3 car is supposed to look like.
When you think about who's competed in these cars as well, previous champions, including Esteban Ocon for Renault Sport F1, Felix Rosenqvist with Chip Ganassi, of course Max Verstappen with Aston Martin, host of talents Lello Marcello, Daniel Cadet. I could probably list quite a few because I met quite a few, including Tatiana Calderon, who's meant to be running in Super Formula this year with with T-Sport. Behind the wheel of her sim that recently got to her house in Madrid. So yeah, plenty of great talent has come through the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. And it's great to see that we're still able to honour its memory, Jake, here in the Custom Racewear F3 iRacing Championship in association with
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And my fond memories of Formula 3 take me all the way back to the Po Grand Prix back in 2017. That was my last big memory of this fabulous sport and this wonderful discipline. Obviously, Formula 3... the Grand Prix there was obviously being... Oh, that's Teddy Wilson pushing a little too hard. So Teddy Wilson making a mistake as he went out of Beckett's there. And it's still very easy to get it slightly awry. Matthew Gauthier-Thornton, by the way, has managed to get up into 4th position. So good to see he's making the progress. I was going to say the last Formula 3 event I did was the Po Grand Prix 2017. A race in which Lando Norris was dominating with a fury, miles ahead of Maxi Günther. And was looking the class of the field, and then he just did what so many drivers have done at Po over the years, just clipped the curb at the Station S's and essentially ended up ploughing straight into the barriers. Wasn't to be seen for a long time afterwards, to be found in the back of the Carlin truck, as Matt Gale informs me, absolutely distraught. But the team told him, just chill out, don't worry about it, everybody's binned it at Po, don't worry about it. And it was the making of him. He's so chilled and relaxed now as a result. But that was the race that made him. And Formula 3, in these particular cars, they really do make racing drivers. They are fabulous machines. And so there we are. It looks as though we've got a couple of drivers now coming in. Practice is finished and done and dusted. So we are getting ourselves ready for the action as the competitors are obviously now going into qualifying. And this is it for the drivers. They've got a very busy session in front of them here, Alex. And qualifying is where they can make or break their meeting. So obviously the competition is going to be very strong and very, very tough indeed for our drivers. They are heading out onto the circuit now. Apologies, we seem to have lost Alex for a short moment, but I'm sure he will return. Our drivers, though, are heading out onto the circuit for a very crucial, very important time in this session. Drivers coming out, and obviously they all want to put on a good show here. For all of you watching along at home, hello to all of those of you who are watching us here with the Custom Racewear Formula 3 iRacing Championship. Drivers just trying to get themselves some clean air there. Jamie Dorey just trying to put himself into the right spot. There's Akila Gobert, the Frenchman. As the drivers head out onto the course, they're obviously all wanting to give themselves the best possible run today. Everybody's going to be cheering for their own individual heroes. There's Maximus Maya, the Spanish racer. He races obviously in the world of IAMI X30 kart racing, but he's had a brilliant step up to the world of the World Championship as well of late, having done the FIA Karting Academy last year, and should be hopefully competing in the OK category when we get back to the world of FIA Karting in the European and World Championships, and definitely a hot favourite for those championships as well in 2020. So keep an eye on him as the drivers are now stepping up the attack and going for their first qualifying laps. So the drivers are in there trying to get as much speed and advantage as they possibly can. But we're keeping an eye on the competitors as they run round.
Yeah, looks like the Matt Karuna fan club is out in prominence from Jay Timbrell, Jake Napthine, Ben Bishop, even said Hamilton's racing tonight. So what, have you taken his mantle, have you, Ben Bishop?
Oh.
I'm sorry. That's never going to happen in the month of Sundays. Well, but yeah, just by looking at the characteristics of the circuit here, Jake, Hangar Straights is where they're really going to get a good run. And if there's a couple of drivers that might decide to in these work together, they could get a really good run coming from out of Chapel and going through to... And that's going to be through the fastest parts of this circuit, Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. You know, a fearsome combination that's known and loved the world over here at Silverstone.
Absolutely, and the drivers need to make sure they're in absolutely the right frame of mind as they come through in each particular corner. So it is going to be an absolutely spectacular run. But it's great to see such a partisan fan base for all of the competitors. Teddy Wilson just coming through to finish the first major qualifying lap We'll try and pick him up as he comes through because he's not far from completing the lap time. But Teddy Wilson should come through at the top of the times. Colin Sanzeri just coming through. But obviously those flying laps are going to be very important to get there. And you really get 2 proper goes at qualifying. And Teddy Wilson comes through and his opening gambit is a 140.734. Not bad at all. Max Meyer goes second straight away on a 140.898. Bradshaw pops in less than a tenth of a second off. As Sandy Mitchell goes fastest of all, a 1 minute 40.245 for Sandy Mitchell. So a statement of intent from the Scotsman.
Yeah, I've seen that Sammy Venables has had a bit of an off-track excursion, so he was on a flyer, lost it complete, and then decided to Venables, yet to complete one of his 2 respective laps of qualification. So it's a very short last 10 minutes. But only the 2 laps to account. So quite a few drivers, as Mitchell again is just ahead by just over 0.37 of a second ahead of Gauthier Thornton, Wilson, Preston, Bradshaw, Meyer. Jake, it's looking really close, and especially between the top 8 being rounded out by Thomas, who's just under a second off a string pace around here at Silverstone.
Well, that's it. The drivers are all going to be pushing very hard. They want to maximise their lap times around the circuit, and they only really get 2 flying laps on a fresh set of tyres, essentially, because they've got to come into the pits, change tyres for a fresh set, and see if they can maximise their second lap out of the pits. To give you an idea, we are 5 minutes into the session already, and it's a 10-minute session. So, essentially, they want 1 clean lap on a fresh set of tyres, and then pit in, get another set, and then go at it again. So it is going to be a very tough race for them. They all know how difficult it is. Some of them are opting to stay out there, and Teddy Wilson goes back to the top as he does that. So Teddy Wilson has not only set the lap time, but I think he's come back into the pits, and Mitchell goes back top.
As well as Bradshaw. Bradshaw briefly held it, and then Mitchell went, "Sorry, Callum, not your chance this time, my friend. Thou shalt not have pole position."
Yeah, that was very nicely handled, to be fair. So a very close run thing between these competitors as the run continues. Who's that slowing and pulling off to the side of the track? As we now watch Sandy Mitchell. And that could be his last ebb in this qualifying session. Thomas King has come to a stop. Piers Pryor is still going strong. There is Piers Pryor as he pushes on in 7th position. His time is 0.7 of a second off that of pole. But let's be fair, we know Piers of old, Alex. He's not necessarily the best qualifier out there, but what he lacks in 1 lap pace, he more than makes up for in race trim. He is a racecrafter.
Well, take last week at Mugello. Perfect example. Absolutely perfect example. He set fastest laps of the race, and he came scything through like Get-A-Fix from Asterix. Bit of a French cartoon favourite of mine back in the day when I was growing up. I'm sure you probably remember that as well.
I do indeed.
When he's on his A game, you cannot deny how quick Piers is. When he doesn't have a great time in qualifying, he will make up for it in sheer racecraft, and he will literally push this car to the limit of adhesion, virtually speaking.
There's Jamie Jakins, who's still yet to put a time on the board. But Jakins will obviously want to wait until the circuit has been rubbered in a little bit before he gets his lap time in. Everybody else is just getting that final tweak out of their cars in pit lane before they go out for their final qualifying lap. And so there are a few cars.
That's going to be the case, yeah. I don't think that's going to be the case for Matt Caruana. He's not set a lap time, neither is Sammy Venables. Jamie Dory goes in the pits. Michael Preston has done so as well. Preston's currently P9. As we're fast approaching, I think, the last couple of minutes, Jake. But it looks like Mitchell's done the business to secure pole position, because it was Teddy Wilson last time out at Mugello.
Certainly was. So obviously there are some interesting factors to come into this race. But if Mitchell's got the pole position to Callum Bradshaw, boy, are we in for a show, because that's essentially what we got at Imola 7 days ago, and that was brutally entertaining. So I'm sure we're going to get just as much drama and intrigue from the racing here at Silverstone, especially with it being the vintage layout. So we're definitely going to get a bit of a spectacle as the competitors continue to put in a brilliant run here at Silverstone. But obviously...
Piers Price still on... Yeah. Oh, sorry, Jake. Piers Price still... I think he's in the latter throes of this lap. Running P5 at the moment. Sorry, I did mean to say Imola. I get confused. I've been doing so much esports commentary at the moment.
That's it.
Mugello quite recently.
Well, Pryor's managed to get his time down to within 0.3 of a second. So he's right there or thereabouts, which is very good news indeed. He's been working very hard to try and gain some ground. But he is certainly able to do that and has put in a very impressive display here as we get ourselves ready for the action in the CR iRacing Formula 3 Championship, brought to you by Simutec, and obviously here on the Downforce Racing YouTube channel was brought to you by GoBobby.uk. It's been really exciting stuff, and we're really excited about how things are going to be for the race coming up. But my goodness, has it been an interesting one in terms of time qualifying. But I think pretty much everybody has now sorted out their final lap times. So I think it's going to be a very interesting race ahead of us. Sandy Mitchell grabbing the pole position. Callum Bradshaw in second place. We'll get the grid on your screen in a moment, of course. Mitchell, Bradshaw on the front row, though. So that's going to be interesting. Gautier Thornton did manage to pip Teddy Wilson in the end there for the top four. And then Piers Pryor in front of Thomas King. And there's only about 0.4 of a second between them all.
The case. So we've got Yves Baltas from the US in 7th, Connor Mills, Michael Preston. Looks like Jamie Jenkins just shot up to 13th at the dying moments of qualification. So nice work by him. So he's behind George Palozzi, Philip Russell and Max Meyer, who complete positions 12 to 10 respectively. Colin Sanzeri down in 14th, Ben White in 15th, Akil Gorbert. So yeah, it looks like we're about to get things underway with our first race, the sprint race here at Silverstone, as they're going to start gridding up, which I think they're doing at the moment, Jake. So here we go. Round 2 getting underway with the first of 2 races.
Cars are in position and they are about to go ready. Your screen has got the grid in front of you. You can see how things are going to shape up. But this is going to be an absolutely almighty shindig when we go racing. It is going to be quite an exceptional run for the competitors. So let's give them the ultimate go. Cars are in position, lights will come on, and when they go out, we will be racing here at Silverstone. Mitchell on the inside line for pole position. Bradshaw alongside him on the front row. Then Gautier Thornton and Teddy Wilson. Then it is Piers Pryor and Thomas King on the third row. Yves Baltas and Connor Mills. Michael J. Preston and Maximus Meyer rounding up the top 10. Philip Russell is next up. Then George Palozzi, Jamie Jenkins and Colin Sanzeri. Ben White and Achille Galbert. Mason, Smithson, Foster, Dory, Healy, Gelman, Hurd and Venables. Lights are on. In a moment, when they go out, we'll be racing here at Silverstone. The red lights are on and we are about to go racing here at Silverstone. It's green and go, and it's an absolutely terrific start from Bradshaw, who's going to get up alongside our pole sitter. Is Bradshaw going to get the lead up to the first corner? Pryor's got an absolute stormer up to the first corner and into third position around the outside of Gautier Thornton, but Thornton's going to get there. Bradshaw trying to come up along the inside line as well. Bradshaw is your leader. Mitchell second. Gautier Thornton in third position. Pryor in P4. Wilson, King, Baltas, Mills and Max Meyer as the field works its way through Maggots and Beckett's for the first time. Absolutely sensational racing here at Silverstone as the battle is well and truly joined. So it's going to be an interesting one as Sandy Mitchell tries to get his way onto the toe and past Callum Bradshaw. If he can make this move, it's not going to be easy. And still they duel as they come up to the Vale and in through Club Corner. This is where they come through that long flowing right hand hairpin, which nowadays is where you've got the wing cop. Ah, a spin for Matthew Gautier Thornton right in the path of the entire field. They have to go one way and then the other to try and avoid the collision, and incredibly everybody has done so. So they got away with that one, but look, it's deja vu. We've got Bradshaw and Pryor up at the front, Bradshaw and Mitchell up at the front end of the field with Piers Pryor in P3.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of other casualties as well early on in the race. George Palozzi and Bradley back to the rear end of the field, Jake, in 25th and 24th respectively. Palozzi qualified P12. Healy's had an off-track excursion. He's in a minute. So there's all cases of who's going to end up where, as Bradshaw and Mitchell have bolted a little bit ahead of Piers Pryor, who's now up into third place. And it's just going to be so close again. Bradshaw and Mitchell have been really, really close together. Last time out at Imola, and now we've got more drivers going off. Ben Foster have gone off. So Jamie Jenkins now inherits 11th place as George Palazzi again goes on. I think he's in the pits. Preston drops down to 11th. So yeah, it's all war out here at Silverstone.
It's become quite problematic for a few of the teams out there, but yes, Healy and Palazzi having problems of their own, so obviously a very tricky start to proceedings. But the drivers are all still battling away. King has made the move on Connor Mills, so that's definitely helped his cause as the field continues to battle away. But Mitchell is still all over the back of Bradshaw, who is still having a bit of a lag spike issue. Piers Pryor in third, then it's Baltas, Wilson, King, Mills, Meyer, Preston, Russell, Jenkins, Ben White and Austin Foster. But George Palazzi is the only retirement that we can make out at the moment as we watch Piers Pryor in third position, looking very strong here at Silverstone and trying to get away from the American Yves Baltas. But there is still a very tough battle going on behind as several drivers are now mixing it. Now there's Max Meyer trying to close up on Connor Mills. So Max Meyer, the Spaniard, also trying to get away from Michael J. Preston, who's managed to get the move on Philip Russell. Jenkins is 11th, and then it is White in 12th from Austin Foster and Colin Sanzeri, with Matt Caruana in 15th, up 10 places, by the way. So Matt Caruana, who didn't get much in the way of a decent qualifying lap, has shot up to 15th place. So Caruana is on the comeback charge.
The biggest increase in this race, and we saw drivers actually moving up at least 11 to 12 positions in the feature race back at Imola last time out, Jake. As Mitchell and Bradshaw changing places like it's going out of fashion at the minute. But it looks like Bradshaw's got the lead once again. Mitchell then gets past him, but it's just changing all the time. As Elliot Mason and Mike Hurd are battling about 18th position. Matt Caruana trying to close up on Colin Sanzeri for P14 at the minute. So Caruana doing a really good job. P25. Yeah, so it's going to be, I think Foster's had an off-track moment. That's allowed both Sanzeri and Caruana to get through. Caruana
mistake from Baltas. Teddy Wilson got him. So Baltas made the run wide there in 4th position. And Wilson has been able to get through into P4. Thomas King is now going to make his bid to get past Baltas into the chicane at Abbey. But it's not going to be the move he's wanting to make as they come down the drop, out under bridge and through the long flowing right-hander, flat on the throttle. A great little tussle going on here in the run from 5th onwards. This is an absolutely heroic run. And we're having some proper little tussles between the drivers as they come through. So it's Bradshaw, Mitchell, Pryor, Wilson, Baltas and Thomas King who we're watching. Look at King under massive pressure here, and that's a little twitch there from Baltas. King's going to get his move on the inside. Connor Mills is going to try and get the switch underneath as they come through Woodcote. They're going to go 3 wide nearly as they come up to the pit wall. King has got through. Mills is going to get the move on the inside line there as well to sweep through on the inside line. Baltas coming through on the far side as they go through Copse Corner, and still they're side by side because Baltas has nicked onto the back of King. Mills is averted, and now they come through Maggots and Beckett's, almost touching King and Baltas, and this is bringing Max Meyer into the hunt. What a battle!
Definitely, I mean, to have the absolute intestinal fortitude to make it 3 wide through Copse, you've got to have the absolute precise commitment for that, Jake.
Oof.
So hats off to them.
Goodness, Connor Mills trapped in there by Baltas. Baltas is not giving him any space at all, and now Connor Mills is going to try his best to come through on the other side. They are getting a massive defensive move there from Baltas through the Vale. And this is going to be tricky now for Mills because he's got to try and plant it without getting impatient, but he'll get the run on the inside of Abbey. So surely this is going to be Connor Mills' opportune moment, and he knows it. Baltas is still not giving him a massive quantity of room. Meyer and Preston are closing in. Here he comes now, up the inside. Mills is going to commit. This time he gets the job done. And Max Meyer is now under pressure to try and get the move done. But further up, it is still Bradshaw and Mitchell racing. Oh, contact! Mills has gone around. A nudge there from Baltas. And Mills is off. The back wheel is off the car. Oh, disaster for Connor Mills. I'm afraid that was inevitable once they got too close together. But Baltas has assassinated Connor Mills from this race. What a shame.
Yeah, I mean, but he's got another feature race to come later on after the.
Oh no! Contact again! Meyer and Baltas have hit each other on the main straight. I don't believe it. Meyer and Baltas come together now. So it's all kicking off here at Silverstone. Many people have been able to get a gain on that one as a result. Preston now up into P6 behind Thomas King. And we're watching Jamie Jenkins in 7th place. He's the man who gets the benefit. And Philip Russell is trying to get his way further forward now. So Russell in P8. Then it's Ben White and Matt Caruana who's come up into P10 from Smithson. And Gautier Thornton who's up to 12th after his first lap spin.
Very much the case. I think there's been a bit of a Spanish declaration for Max Meyer. So that's really good. Simutec Technologies saying, what a great race. People have been asked, don't worry, there'll be plenty of time. Still a lot of this race still to go, Jake, but absolute. The likes of Mills, Meyer coming a cropper, as well as Yves Baltas having disasters. So that is 6 retired. So Baltas, Mason, Polozzi, Foster and Mills all out. That's a real shame. And Max Meyer all the way down in 16th.
Yeah, it's not an easy situation for quite a few of the drivers there, having had their problems. But Baltas, Mills, Mason, Polozzi, Foster, they've all had their thrills and spills already in this race. But unfortunately, it's really difficult. I'm sorry about the tripping positions there to follow the race leaders, because obviously one of them is tripping in and out of the picture. That is Callum Bradshaw. So Sandy Mitchell still chasing him down in the hope he can make the move, but the man behind is the one to watch. That's Piers Pryor in 3rd position. He's trying to make his impression on this race, and he is the only driver who's been able to hang with the leaders for the entirety of this race. We got Bradshaw and Mitchell up front. That's all to the good. But then you got Pryor, Teddy Wilson, Thomas King, Michael Preston, Jamie Jenkins and Philip Russell, with the top 10 rounded up by Ben White and Matt Caruana.
Yeah, the top 3, the only drivers that have actually gone sub 1 minute 40 around here. And Piers Pryor is actually 2nd quickest. When you look at the lap times he's put in, he's actually quicker by nigh on 0.8 of a second on Sandy Mitchell and Callum Bradshaw. So Pryor, as we both said in qualification, that when it doesn't go his way in qualifying, he knows how to steel himself and get his way fighting like the man he is to the front of the field.
Well, bad news for Max Meyer. He has decided to pull out of the race as we watch Matt Caruana battling away with Matthew Gautier Thornton. So Thornton, this is Matt Caruana trying to get his move done on Ben White, I should say. So Caruana on the hunt for Ben White. They've both made up big places in this race. Six places gained for Ben White, up into 9th position. 15 places made up for Matt Caruana to come up from 25th on the grid to 10th. So a brilliant charge through the field for these two as they follow in behind Philip Russell. So it's going to be a fascinating duel between these two cars as they continue on their way. Meyer sadly out of the race now, and there's only 19 cars still running. We've lost Max Meyer, Austin Foster, Connor Mills, George Polozzi, Yves Baltas and Elliot Mason from this race. They're all out of it, I'm afraid. And so with just under 5 minutes remaining, it is Bradshaw and Mitchell still dueling. Pryor in 3rd position from Wilson, King and Preston.
Yeah, watch out for another dark horse. Helicopter Services' very own Sammy Venables up from P24 to P13, and he's trying to close on Harry Smithson at the minute.
I thought, sorry, Alex. I thought I saw Max Meyer going back out onto the circuit, and he has indeed done so. So Max Meyer has gone back out onto the circuit despite being a lap down. So he's going to need to get himself back into position calmly and coolly without causing too much of an issue.
Yeah, I think the same could be true of Austin Foster and Connor Mills as well, Jake. But yeah, I think Sammy Venables, when he's struck up, he's got about 6.5 seconds between himself and Harry Smithson for P12 at the minute. But Caruana closing fast on Ben White for P9. So the Caruana fan club could be appeased here if he gets past Ben White very, very shortly. It could happen. You never. As Russell goes off. Russell, I think, has had a brief White up to P8 and 9 respectively. Russell.
Yeah, a very good spot there. We're watching as they continue to battle away. It was just a little mistake from Russell, and he's let White and Caruana go through. So White is up to 8th, Caruana's into 9th place, and those two are still dueling. But you've got Russell, Gautier Thornton, Smithson, and I think they are going to be dueling all the way for the rest of this race. And they're only a couple of seconds back from Jamie Jenkins, don't forget, up the road. So there's still plenty of time for this to change and for races to be battling away as King and Preston both get personal bests in that lap. A 1 minute 40.0 for Thomas King, sorry. A 1 minute 40.39 for Preston. And then Gautier Thornton has popped up on a 1 minute 40.599. His best lap of the race. And Achille Galbert is on personal bests as well. So we're seeing plenty of drama and tension through the field. There's Matthew Gautier Thornton. Having had his spin on the first lap, he now finds himself in 11th place, tucked up behind Philip Russell, with still a bit of work to do. But the problem is he's not going to really get much more out of this race than 11th position. So it is a tough race for him. He can still try and gain ground on White, Caruana and Russell, but it is a bit of an uphill climb for him at the moment as we watch Teddy Wilson running in P4 at the moment, 5 seconds off the lead as Bradshaw and Mitchell continue to duel for the victory up in the front end of the field. But Bradshaw just needs to keep it together here, essentially. And despite his slight bandwidth issue, he's going to have a great run to the victory. But I have a feeling he might just be able to get 2 laps in here, because he's going to get pushed to the line here. 13 minutes and 20 seconds. There's going to be a minute and a half left. No, I think this is going to be the last lap, Alex.
Very much the case. It's now all or nothing for Piers Pryor. Can he close? A bit too much of a tall order from the driver based out of Essex and also Loughborough University, where he's still on his eBay. He's probably still on his eBay race seat that he bought, with a couple of little bits of timber and a desk, doing an Emanuele Pirro, I think. So Pryor has really showed himself good credence here. Matt Caruana is up 16 positions, so the highest gain of anybody in this race. Sammy Venables still trying to close up. It's not going to be enough for him. Close up on Harry Smithson for what would be 12th position, but a good run from Venables from the back part of the field. Good recovery from Gautier Thornton.
Yeah, big kudos.
It's just a case of...
Just going to say big kudos to Matt Caruana. 16 places gained is no lean achievement. So they've obviously done a fair job there. Mitchell on pole position for this race. Bradshaw in second, but now the roles are reversed. And as they're coming to the final few corners of this race, it is going to be about whether Bradshaw makes a mistake. The thing is, he's got 0.7 of a second roughly on Bradshaw, so he doesn't have to feel too much pressure here. He's not really being climbed all over the back of. He's just holding his position. So Callum Bradshaw, the former champion in the FIA Karting Academy Trophy for Great Britain, Callum Bradshaw is going to come through and get the victory in fantastic fashion here, and he's going to do so in fine style with Mitchell and Pryor in his wake. Callum Bradshaw at the flag gets the victory. Brilliant result, and it is Pryor in third behind Mitchell. Wilson is in fourth position from King and Preston. And then we've got Jamie Jenkins in 7th place. Still a great battle to the end here. Look at how much ground that Ben White managed to gain on Jamie Jenkins towards the end of the race there. But Matt Caruana, 16 places made up. And a brilliant fight back too from Matthew Gautier Thornton in the top 10 after an absolutely heroic run. Brilliant racing. Absolutely fantastic stuff here at Silverstone. And that's exactly how it should be. They put on an absolutely thrilling battle here. And they've given us plenty of entertainment. Max Meyer unlapping himself after the race is over. But yeah, there were some really good performances out there from our competitors. They've been absolutely sensational. And we've got plenty of good reason to be satisfied with the drivers and their worth. So a fantastic performance here from our drivers. There is Piers Pryor, just finishing off in style, having grabbed a very worthy podium. But a great race there, Alex. Really good stuff.
Definitely very much the case. So it means that we have 3 different winners from the first 3 races. So one to Teddy Wilson, who took the opening win back at Imola in the sprint race. Then it was Sandy Mitchell, and now Callum Bradshaw. Oh, this is getting ever so exciting, because you know what this means? I think it probably might put Bradshaw just a point behind Mitchell, and Thomas King, I think, might still round out the top 3 based on those those results. But what a drive from Callum Bradshaw. Absolutely nailed it, and knew he had to do so to keep in close proximity to Sandy Mitchell in the title fight for the Custom Racewear F3 iRacing Championship, brought to you in association with Simutec Technologies. And quite funny, Jake, Simutec have actually said, we'll get in touch with Matt and give him a 2-hour session. Well done.
That's pretty good going. And to be fair, Matt Caruana has obviously brought the fan club in big gusto, and they've been rewarded here with an absolutely sensational run. That was really impressive stuff from the drivers as we get ready for the warm-up session now for the second race, as the drivers are already heading out onto the circuit for their warm-up. They obviously want to be in fine for... Oh, and there's a spin straight away, would you believe? So a couple of issues already. Whoa, that's how close it can get. But yeah, that was a slightly scary moment for a couple of the drivers. And oh, well, that's turning into a bit of a mess for the driver in question. That's really not the way they wanted that one to go. But yeah, fascinating battle. Fascinating battle.
Yeah, I think that might have been either Philip Russell or... Well, it says that Elliot Mason's had an off-track moment, but... yeah, incredible racing there. But yeah, now this is just the opportunity for them to just sort of get a bit more rubber down on the circuit, get ready for the reverse top 10 grid that we're going to have for this race in just a few moments' time. But Jake, you know, just I think one of my, you know, when you were coming back to what you were saying about 2019, when you were working for F1 Communications at that particular point, I remember being there 5 years earlier. When it was, I think it was the year where Mercedes dropped the ball in qualifying. Hamilton was P6. I interviewed JB in the presser post-qualifying. And then we had the Pink Papa Day, obviously remembering his late father John Button, who was such a great character in the paddock. And I still remember, yeah, going through that same complex and just seeing the amount of people with plastic glasses of beer in their hand, having a great old time, music playing in the background, whilst the not just the F1 cars, but also all the support series were going around at that particular moment in time.
Yeah, it's a wonderful atmosphere, Silverstone. It really does ring to the spirit of the sport. I mean, I've been to a couple of Grand Prix now in various different places, and it really is the partisan fans that make an event. If you go to somewhere like Germany, which I did in the height of the Schumacher era, there was just people power absolutely rocking around the stadium in every single part of the course of the Nürburgring, and Silverstone has been like that. But it's in very much the same way that Wimbledon, you don't cheer for any one particular tennis player, you go and enjoy the spectacle of the race. I've been to Silverstone a few times now for the Grand Prix, and people just love the thrill of the racing. You've got your few individuals who go to support one driver, but there are many competitors and spectators who go there just for the love of the sport. They don't really care who wins, they just want to be part of the atmosphere and part of the spirit of competition. And that corner that you're looking at now, I can remember standing there as a small boy in 1998 when the race was absolutely thundering down with rain. Damon Hill was dueling with a Sauber, I think it was. He came out of club, lost the back end of the car slightly. The rear wheel got onto the grass, and I happened to be standing at the front. And me, my sister, and my godfather all got showered with a nice bit of grass and mud, courtesy of Damon Hill. Before we could shake our fists at him, though, he spun off 4 corners later. So this place does hold many, many memories for so many people. And certainly there are a few young drivers here making a few memories tonight.
Definitely. I think my earliest Grand Prix was actually at this very track back in 1991. Showing my age here now, aren't I? Yeah, when the iconic Mansell and Senna side-by-side moment happened. Senna with McLaren, Il Leone, as he was known in his Ferrari days. Mr. Mansell was with Williams at the time. Before the year he picked up the title, then went off to America and said, "Oh, I'll give this IndyCar thing a go," and won the championship the successive year in '93. But I remember that day quite vividly. We spent 4 hours getting into the circuit. I had a screaming headache, had my headphone cans on my head, migraine, screaming like hell because the noise was just so guttural through my eardrums. And when I was 3 years old, I had perforated eardrums. But little did I know that I'd come back to that circuit multiple times, and not just for Formula One, but the District Go Parts Distribution Citroen C1 Racing Club 24 Hours last May, which was an absolute humdinger, celebrating Citroen's centenary, and I will use the proper pronunciation.
Good.
Say Citroen, you're not educated enough.
Oh, slight issue going on out on the circuit. That looks like Connor Mills has tripped up somebody, but obviously we're now getting into the race itself, the warm-up session all done and dusted, so it's time to look at the grid for this one. And obviously, as you mentioned, it is, well, that's the results of the warm-up session. That doesn't really tell us much, unfortunately, about what is happening out on the circuit. But we are getting ourselves ready for the feature race now, and this is obviously where the battle is going to be very, very intense for many number of drivers as we get ourselves ready for the action. Now, obviously, it's a reverse grid pole position for Matthew Gauthier-Thornton, and Matt Caruana lines up second on the grid. Ben White in third, Jamie Jenkins in P4, Michael J. Preston in fifth position from Thomas King and Teddy Wilson. Then Piers Pryor with Sandy Mitchell and Callum Bradshaw on the fifth row of the grid. And we're away and racing, and Matthew Gauthier-Thornton wanting to get the perfect start as he bolts away from the front of the grid. Matt Caruana slots into second position, no problem. Jamie Jenkins is going to try and make his bid to come through as soon as is humanly possible as they go through the first corner. And there's no major catastrophes that I can see, certainly through Copse Corner. Cars still motoring their way through, but it's always going to be a very tough one. But out in front, Gauthier-Thornton has got himself back into a competitive position. 10th place really was a fortuitous finish for him. But it looks like Piers Pryor's had an off. I think Piers Pryor and Mike Hurd has had an issue as well. So Mike Hurd and Colin Sanzeri have crashed out at the start. Bradshaw is a long way down the order too. Bradshaw's had a spin. Piers Pryor. There's more.
There's more calamity. There's more. Smithson, Jakin, down the order. This is absolute barriers. Oh my word!
Yeah.
What is going on?
All sorts of problems, I'm afraid. It's absolute carnage. Several drivers down the order. It looks as though we've lost Hurd, Gelman, Sanzeri, Austin Foster. I think Bradshaw's managed to recover, but is trying to get up the order. Oh, and that's Galbert going wide. So Galbert's gone wide, and that's Ben White getting through. So are we about to get 4 different winners from the first 4 races? I think we might well do, because we had Wilson take a victory, we've had Mitchell take a victory, Bradshaw take a victory, and out in front from pole position, having been third on the opening lap of the sprint race, Gauthier-Thornton is now your leader from Wilson, with Sandy Mitchell incredibly up to third place at the end of the first lap.
Crikey, this has just absolutely turned everything upside down like a sand that's just about to expire. My goodness me. But Maximus Meyer, yeah, up from P20 to P7. Mason and Baltas, their 10th and 11th positions gained so far, so to speak, in terms of... but Max Meyer doing a great job. I think he's even closing on Sammy Venables, who's also gone up from P13 to P... So Meyer definitely on a charge. Let's just hope that the exchanges between Venables, looks like Max Meyer went off track there, Jay. But still, Gauthier-Thornton leading the way here at the moment in the feature.
Yes, indeed. And Max Meyer struggling to deal with Venables. But then, of course, we've had several cars have some issues through the course of it. And we had another issue. I think we've had Ben White drop down the order. Oh, Mason's gone as well.
Yeah, we did.
So Smithson's gone, Mason's gone, Connor Mills is still going, but we are losing cars like crazy now. Smithson out, Mason out, Thomas King as well, joining the likes of Hurd, Gelman, Sanzeri and Foster. Piers Pryor has got back into the race. He's now battling with, is that Matt Caruana he's dueling with? I think he's having, no, Caruana's, Caruana's a bit further ahead. It's Akil Galbert who's trying to close up on Piers Pryor. But it's Gauthier-Thornton from Wilson, Mitchell, Preston, Russell and Max Meyer, who is now past Sammy Venables, who is having a bit of a lag spike of his own. But Max Meyer, what a comeback drive from the Spaniard. P6 right now.
Yeah, the youngster based out of Alicante looking to move up the order. I mean, we both commentated on in karting performance last year at the Kartmasters Grand Prix at PFI. Gauthier-Thornton sets per, but then Teddy Wilson does the same as well. And Teddy Wilson, Jake, was over a tenth quicker than the number 44 in that last lap.
He was indeed. I'm afraid to report, though, Piers Pryor's had a spin. He's down to 14th place now behind Jakins and Palozzi. So Pryor down to 14th place after another incident. So that's compromised him. Bradshaw's had an absolute howler. He's down in 17th position, which is definitely not good for his championship aspirations. Things looking very difficult for him. And let's not forget that obviously because... Oh, Stephen Healy's gone. Stephen Healy's gone off. Healy's gone off and had a big shunt. So Stephen Healy has gone off on the exit of Beckett's and his race is over. That's a shame. So Stephen Healy dropping it on the exit of Beckett's, and that puts him out of the race. That promotes Caruana to 8th, Achille Galbert to 9th, and Yves Baltas has stormed back into 10th position. The American is charging back into contention.
Very much the case. Both him and Max Meyer, the drivers that have accumulated the most positions gained. 14 each. George Palozzi now back up from P25 to P13. Callum Bradshaw started P10 but having to work a little bit and is trying to close up on Jamie Dorey. So I don't think the 18-year-old from Leicester's done yet. I think it's going to be a tall order, Jake, for him to get back up anywhere near the front of them. We look to be very much on course for a 4th different winner around 4 races. But the biggest, who is that driver going to be? We both don't really know, do we?
Yeah, it's a tough race to predict because obviously this is the longer race as well. We've got another 15 minutes of this as the duel continues. There's Preston, who's trying to stay hungry in this one because we've got a big battle. Mitchell, he's committing on Teddy Wilson. Here he goes as they go side by side into Maggots. Through the left, through the right. And Mitchell is going to be absolutely on the lock stops here as they come into Beckett's. Through the right-hander, and he hangs back, but Mitchell's going to have Wilson on the run down the hanger straight. He pops out of the left flick, and now they go down the hanger straight side by side. Wilson on the inside, Mitchell on the outside, down to the braking zone for Stowe Corner. This is going to be brave. Who's going to stab on the brakes latest as Wilson holds the inside line? Mitchell comes for the undercut on the outside of the turn. They go along the Vale, and Mitchell is drawing alongside Teddy Wilson. Can he beat him to the braking point now? Mitchell holds the inside line, covets it, but Mitchell commits. Wilson has got no choice here. Mitchell's going to have him on the exit. Lovely move from Mitchell.
Oh, that was textbook defending there. Absolute masterclass there.
Wilson's not done though. He's not done.
Awareness.
He's not done up the inside. He's going to get straight back into it using the curbs. Lovely comeback from Wilson. This is a great duel. And now look, Preston's in there. Well, this is an absolutely thrilling battle. Oh, Wilson's gone wide. Wilson's gone wide. Mitchell's going to take the place back. So Mitchell back in a 2nd place. Wilson drifts wide. Preston nearly snatches 3rd position away. Wilson losing it there through Priory. Famous scene in motorsport, of course, that corner. Schumacher versus Hill. Having a big shunt there in 1995. Very controversial at the time. Mitchell in 2nd place, Wilson in 3rd, Preston in 4th place, and they're all 4 seconds back from Matthew Gautier-Thornton. Here comes Preston. He's going to try and have a bid now for 3rd position on Teddy Wilson. Down the straight towards Maggots, into Beckett's. They come through the left, through the right, utilising the curbs, hopping around. Nicely done so far. And as they go through the S's, this is a really solid run from Preston. He has managed to catch up the ground to Mitchell and Wilson as they duel away. Meanwhile, further back, we've got Max Meyer closing up big time on Philip Russell. Meyer is driving with the red mist after his earlier race. And Max Meyer wants to get his way into the top 5. And he is catching Philip Russell hand over fist.
Very much the case. But yeah, great awareness, spatially speaking, for both Mitchell and Wilson. That was a great battle. That Wilson definitely said to Mitchell, sorry, it's not quite over yet. And the thing is, Jake, just seeing by the sort of like the lap times between them. I mean, on the last lap, Wilson was actually nigh on half a second slower than Mitchell. So Mitchell really had the fire in his belly and the red mist under the visor and really got the job done. So he's up 7 places from P9 to P2. But Gautier-Thornton is just checking out a little bit here, isn't he? And we're not even halfway.
Indeed he is. Matt Caruana's made the move on Achille Galbert, so he's up into 8th place now. This is a good points haul from Caruana today. Worked his magic up into the top 10 in the first race. Now he's in 8th place again in race 2, so a very good charge back from him. Yves Baltas has done well to get up 14 places as well. Same amount as Max Meyer made up into 10th position now. And in 13th place, we've got George Palozzi. He's making his run as he has gained another dozen places himself from the back of the grid to 13th. So many cars out of contention in this one, though. And then everybody from Ben White downwards, essentially, severely compromised from this race. Smithson and King are still going, I notice. Harry Smithson and Thomas King are still there or thereabouts. I think only Elliot Mason is no longer running. I think everybody else has actually managed to come out and have a bit of fun to finish off the race, because it's a long race, this 20 minutes. You never know what's going to happen. You might pick up some decent points by just staying in it, even if you're a lap down. So several teams obviously feeling that they've got an opportunity here to make up some ground. Here's Teddy Wilson, tight in behind Sandy Mitchell still. And these two look like they're going to have another ding-dong before too long.
Very much the case. It seems like the Matt Caruana fan club is out in prominence once again. Ed Hunter saying, cheering on Matthew. I raced against him on a sim 3 years ago and remember being really impressed as I followed him around. Top guy, hopes that he holds on to the win. Simutec have said, have we got any sim races on chat who didn't manage to get an entry? Shall we run another championship after this one? I think I might have to be in agreement with that, Jake.
Well, you do the commentary, I'll do the driving, because I need to get my iRacing laps up. I need to get my iRating a bit better. It's not going well at the moment. I haven't had much time in the car, but I certainly had an awful lot of fun the other night messing around with Alice Powell and Sarah Moore, Ayla Agrin, Fabian Volvend. The list goes on, and the W Series drivers invited me to go and have a muck about with them in the Skip Barber car in Monza and Spa. It was a great fun evening. Really enjoyed myself. And yes, Alice Powell, I am still smarting from that deliberate overtake collision. That was very naughty of you.
Oh,
indeed, yep.
Where you pitched skyward, Jake, is my question.
Yeah, several times. Several times is the answer. Gautier Thornton still out in front. We've got a race going on. Gautier Thornton still out in front here. 3 seconds ahead of Mitchell, who is actually starting to get the gap away now from Wilson. Meyer has well and truly dealt with Russell and is charging after Preston as he comes down the hanger straight. So Meyer into 5th position is pulling away from Russell. Then it's Venables, Caruana, Galbert and Yves Baltas. Piers Pryor still going in 11th place. A long way down the order though. Jenkins in 12th. Palozzi, White and Bradshaw. For Piers Pryor, this race well and truly compromised from the first shunt on the first lap. But he's still a racing driver. He's still going to keep hungry. He's not going to give up. You never know what's coming in these races, and every single point will make a prize, especially when your main rivals from the previous race, Bradshaw, certainly the race winner in the previous race, was even more compromised. He's behind Pryor now, so Pryor has a good chance to steal some big points here. So that's his motivation to keep charging forward. Preston in behind Mitchell and Wilson, 2nd and 3rd places. 2.7 seconds back from Gautier Thornton. I'm really impressed with the race leader here, to be fair, Matthew Gautier Thornton. He had the compromise problem in race 1, got spun. Whether he spun himself or whether someone assisted him, I didn't really see on the first lap of the sprint. I think he just made the mistake himself and spun the car. Managed to fight his way back into 10th position, which he knew was going to be reverse grid pole. So did a fantastic job, and ever since then, he's just never looked back in this race. And it looks very good to me, with 7.5 minutes roughly left of the race here at Silverstone, that we're going to have 4 different race winners from the first 4 races. You couldn't have asked for that script to be written. And Custom Racewear definitely very happy with how even and close the championship has ended up being so far. Wilson, race winner. Sandy Mitchell, race winner. Callum Bradshaw, race winner. Matthew Gautier Thornton, in about 6.5 minutes we'll find out.
Very much the case, but Jake, I've just been keeping an eye on the lap times. The best efforts from both Sandy Mitchell and Teddy Wilson, they are considerably quicker. Mitchell is absolutely flying. His best lap at the moment, a 1 minute 39.59. It's last time around here at Silverstone, 1 minute 39.77. So he is nigh on, 4/10 of a second quicker than Gautier Thornton. And he's closing the gap. It's under 2 seconds. It's around 2 seconds now. So Mitchell still has an opportunity. It's just dependent on how quickly Gautier Thornton responds.
Also, Preston's not a million miles away from the back of Wilson's car either. Here's, whoops, I was going to say here's Caruana going for Venables. But in fact, Caruana's gone off. Caruana's gone off. What a shame. He was running so close to the back of Venables there. Looked like he was going to have a good run. But unfortunately, he now falls behind Piers Pryor, down to 11th position. A big disappointment for Caruana, but he was having a great run up until that point. Meyer and Baltas are now up 15 places apiece. Meyer up to 5th and Baltas up to 9th. But we need to focus on the leaders again, because Gautier Thornton, as you mentioned, Alex, is being caught by Mitchell, who has just set the fastest lap of the race. Mitchell is 1.7 seconds back with 6 minutes to go. That is doable here at Silverstone. And the way the Scotsman is currently flying, he's going to be a locomotive before too long.
Yeah, he's actually equalled his fastest lap of the race, Jake. It's identical lap times. I cannot believe this is happening. Mitchell, you said he's got the red mist behind the visor. He's got it in absolute spades. I think he's like a raging bull underneath that helmet at the minute. So let's see what happens. It's under 1.5 seconds now. Preston on a flyer. Venables set his personal best. Piers Pryor a 1 minute 39.67. My goodness, Pryor, even though he's down in 10th, Jake, is a 10th off of the fastest lap of this race yet again.
Sounds like Piers Pryor to me. He's never that far away from the front times in the field. But how about this for a fantastic showdown at the front end of the field? The Gran Turismo Academy finalist from 2015, Matthew Gautier Thornton, versus the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Vice World Champion, Sandy Mitchell. He's had all sorts of other things happen in his career, of course, as well. And I've been following him since the latter days of his karting career. But he became the vice champion of the world in Lamborghini Super Trofeo last year. He's won the Silver Cup in the 24 Hours of Spa in Blancpain. And this guy really is a fearless fighter. Here's Max Meyer, another 1 minute 40 lap compared to those around him in the 141s. So Meyer still has hope in this race to close up on the top 4. If he can just keep this pace fairly consistent. Teddy Wilson is seeing his opportunity to win here slowly fading away, but actually Sandy Mitchell can do a lot of the work for him. There he is, just a second back now, less than that, behind Gautier Thornton. This is where it's going to really start being a big battle. The GT Academy driver, GT, is now being caught by Mitchell.
Very much the case. He put it in a 1 minute 39.4, Jake. He's absolutely flying as the number 22 from Scotland. Absolutely flying. I think Gautier Thornton can probably feel the laser sights on the rear wing at the moment.
Phil Kinch watching along.
What's going to happen next?
It's great to see. Sorry about that. There must be a slight bandwidth problem there with Discord. Unfortunately, we keep tripping over each other. Apologies, Alex. Phil Kinch is watching the stream along. He misses bridge corner. It's great to see the configuration being used again. And it's wonderful to see the great race battle we've got going on. Sandy Mitchell is within 0.7 of a second now of Gautier Thornton under braking. It's about as little as 0.6, so this is going to be a close run thing. Smithson is still lapping fairly well, a 141.9 despite being down in the order in the field. Alkil Galbert has had an off. So Galbert has gone off somewhere and has ended up in the pits and out of the race, I'm afraid. So there goes the Frenchman. Only 17 cars still running for my money, and that is a big shame for Akil Galbert, the Frenchman. Meanwhile, Sandy Mitchell is now less than 3/4 of a second behind Gautier Thornton. This is where the race can be won and lost. We've got less than 3 minutes to go. So the battle continues. Still raging down the hanger straight. Matthew Gautier Thornton leads. Now, they've got a slower car in front of them. That, I'm fairly sure, is going to be Thomas King. So Thomas King, who was one of the top 6 drivers in the early race, so he's not going to be much of a threat in terms of holding them up. He's going to be similar sort of pace. So I don't think the traffic's going to be a problem. Gautier Thornton is going to have Sandy Mitchell reeling him in all the way through as Piers Pryor has come into the pits. So Piers Pryor, I'm afraid, I think he's going to be out of the race now as well, as he's even lost the position to Bradshaw. But Pryor is treating this seriously. He's going to repair the car and get back out on circuit. So Piers Pryor continues, despite being down in 14th place now. Every point counts. He knows from his karting days, consistency is king. And he'll want to keep battling all the way to the finish. But that has promoted, the couple of incidents we've had has promoted Matt Caruana back into 9th. Jamie Jenkins is into 10th place now. So Caruana, despite his earlier off, has made up more places. And Yves Baltas, the American, is up into 8th position. I think Caruana going off again slightly. That's a problem, so he doesn't want to lose ground to Jamie Jenkins again as we go into what I'm fairly sure is the final lap.
It's the case there. Simutec again saying, I wonder if we can get Sandy Mitchell to come to the studio as well when Caruana goes in for his session. But it's been fantastic racing. But Mitchell really is closing hand over fist. He's been running consistently in the high 1 minute 39s, Jake. And I think Gauthier Thornton knows something is coming, but the time is fast running out.
Down the hanger straight. Sandy Mitchell is reeling in Matthew Gauthier Thornton, but he's in the slipstream now down the hanger straight. He's going to make a big amount of time. He breaks so much later through Stowe. He's got an opportunity. This is going to be a drag race round every corner now as Mitchell closes up on Gauthier Thornton, and Sandy is one of those drivers that is going to go for the banzai manoeuvre. He is going to give it a go. So if I'm Teddy Wilson, I'm rubbing my hands with glee for the two cars up in front. If they come together, Wilson might be able to part the Red Sea like Moses and charge through for the win. So, Mitchell down in behind Gauthier Thornton, into the chicane, left, curb, right, curb. Mitchell is only going to have one shot at this at most. Gauthier Thornton is pushing hard to try and fend off Sandy Mitchell. I think he's only going to have one chance, and it's going to be at Luffield. But he needs to set him up right. Gauthier Thornton needs to be hungry. Mitchell needs to be hungrier still. He's only going to get one chance, and it's going to be up the inside here. Gauthier Thornton holds on. Mitchell needs to stay on it as they come through at the end of a very exciting race. It's going to be a victory for Matthew Gauthier Thornton. 4 different winners from the first 4 races of the season. Brilliant, brilliant battle to the flag. Wilson is 3rd. Preston is 4th. Max Meyer is going to come through for 5th position. A great result there. What a comeback from Yves Baltas as he charges in behind Russell in 6th, Venables in 7th, and Baltas crossing the line in 8th place. A brilliant run there for Baltas. There's Matt Caruana, who still, despite all of the flotsam and jetsam in the race for him, finishes 9th in front of Jamie Jenkins. What a race. 4 winners from the first 4 races, Alex. You couldn't script it.
No, not at all, not at all. George Palozzi will have increased his chances up the championship order by finishing in P11, Ben White P12, Callum Bradshaw in P13, and there's donuts. I think it's that Gauthier Thornton.
That's Mitchell. That's Mitchell. Mitchell
That's
having
Mitchell.
A bit of fun out there.
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely a big way to let off some steam here at Silverstone. So Callum Bradshaw finishes ahead of Piers Bryer with Jamie Dorey rounding out the top 15. Harry Smithson and Thomas King will round out the order. But yeah, Jake, 4 different winners, 4 different races. In 2 weeks' time, we head to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal in Canada for round 3. Another 2 races await. But what a job by Matthew Gauthier Thornton. Absolutely nailed it and kept Mitchell at bay, even though Mitchell had the run coming down the hanger straight on the final lap.
And it's my favourite racetrack on iRacing that comes next, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. I'm really excited to see how that's going to happen, especially considering now that the championship is going to be so even as we head to the second half of the season. The first 2 rounds done are dusted at Imola and Silverstone, Montreal next, and 4 different winners from the first 4 races. It really has been sensational tonight here in the CR Formula 3 iRacing Championship. We really have had an amazing run, and with 2 rounds to go, I've already got goosebumps. I genuinely am excited for what will happen 7 days from now.
No, actually make that 2 weeks, Jake.
2 weeks from now, of course. Yes, 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now. So we've got a week's break so everyone can get themselves ready for keeping themselves as close to without clipping.
I think I'm going to have to run a lobby next week and get some Formula 3 stripes in. We may run a downforce one-off pro race. Anybody who can come and have a play with us. I think it'll be great fun.
Definitely. I think we're going to have to do a Custom Racewear stroke downforce F3 Invitational at Montreal. But thank you very much for everyone for tuning in here for the stream live and uninterrupted on the official Downforce Racing YouTube channel with myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Jake Sanson, your guides through what has transpired over the exciting second round of the Custom Racewear Formula 3 iRacing Champion, brought to you in association with Simutec Technologies. We'll see you in just 2 weeks' time when we head stateside to good old Montreal. Thanks for watching.